Hello, this is your roving REI reporter, Hannon Russell, and today we're with Fred Wilson. Fred is not only known for his great selection of antiquarian books located in New York City at 80 East 11th Street, but he's also the author of a series of quite interesting books for beginners that he's co-authored with Bruce Alberston. Fred, thanks for being with us today, and tell us a little bit about the series that you've done with Bruce.
Well, thank you for having me here, Hannon. About 10 years ago, Bruce Alberston and I got together, and we're teachers with over 50 years combined experience, and we understood and agreed that the biggest problem post-beginner through intermediate players have is tactics. And they constantly say their tactics are fine, and yet if you show them a checkmate in 2 moves, which the first move is not a check but a quiet move, they almost always do not find it. In fact, we've discovered that beginners through intermediate players probably need more work at solving tactics, recognizing tactical patterns, looking at all their checks and captures. They need more work at that than anything. So we began a series of books on checkmates, on material winning tactics, and we called them the 303 series. Well, now we've done a book for Russell Enterprises with 212 surprising checkmates, and what's slightly different about this one is half the book, the first 100 positions, are checkmates in 1 move, for the most part composed by Bruce Alberston. What's different is they're not easy. You won't spot the mates immediately. Sometimes a pinned piece is moving and still giving checkmate. Often it's a discovery and under promotion, something unusual where there's a multitude of checking possibilities. So this is mostly Bruce's idea, and they're not so easy to solve, even 1 move mates. Now the second part is 100 checkmates in 2 moves, and the last 50 are black to play a move to get you looking at it from black's perspective. And I did most of those, and I think they're real game positions. And they grow increasingly difficult, very often a quiet move, taking away an escape square. Sometimes it goes with a bang, like a queen sacrifice. But these are real practical 3-ply problems, forcing checkmates that people miss routinely, either as opportunities or threats. The last 12 are mates in 3, and some of those are relatively difficult, but they're all game-like positions. And we've used these a lot, especially the mates in 1 and some of the mates in 2 in our teaching. And we find that people who are so sure of themselves, why am I looking at a mate in 1, they actually are challenged by Bruce's creativity in finding almost evilly difficult mates in 1. And the mates in 2 are not baby stuff. It's forced mate in 2 moves, and it's a very practical series of possibilities. Very often high on quiet moves and taking away escape squares. In the introduction, you'll see a couple of interesting games, one especially by Peter Clark that no one seems to know, in which he has to be aware of mates in 2 and even an odd mate in 1 move that's possible in the variations. I mean, we think you'll enjoy the book, and I've already seen that the formatting, the diagrams are large and clear. The typesetting is excellent, and we hope you enjoy the book. We think, and we actually know, that many of our students have benefited from solving these positions.
In fact, Fred, Dover had done 2 printings, and it was a bestseller under a slightly different title, right?
That's correct. It was 202 surprising checkmates, and we made some corrections. They let it go out of print. We got our rights back. We actually reformatted the book so it's nicer and cleaner to use. And the original Dover edition, many chess teachers told me that they loved it because the 1-move mates were difficult and could engage children and post-beginner adults. And the 2-movers were just like things that they had either found or missed in their own tournament games.
To wrap things up, how would you recommend either the student or the teacher use this book?
I would think on the mates in 1, that especially with children and beginner adults, you assign them to do like 5 or 10 every night, and make them look at a position for between 3 and 5 minutes before consulting the solution in the back. The mates in 2, I would say that, again, to the student who's buying this and gets through the mates in 1 without a lot of difficulty, I would say go through those mates in 2 or 3 times, because I think it's a very good selection of relatively difficult mates in 2. Again, half of them are black to move, And if you have trouble with a dozen or so in that second 100 positions, go through it again until you really start to recognize, oh yeah, I remember what the idea is here. Because similar positions will occur in your own play. And then you'll have some empirical knowledge to fall back on. And again, Teichmann was right. Chess is 99% tactics.
Fred Wilson, thanks so much for being with us. For those of you who have an interest in out-of-print or antiquarian chess books, Fred runs one of the premier antiquarian chess shops in New York City, located at 80 East 11th Street in New York. And for those of you interested in the book, the name is 212 Surprising Checkmates by Bruce Alberston and Fred Wilson. Fred, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.